The truth about Iran in the Bible, biblical prophecies about Iranians. What if I told you that Iran, the modern nation of Iran, plays a crucial role in the grand biblical narrative of prophecy and world events? Often, when we think about the Bible, the focus is on Israel, Egypt, and Babylon. But what if I told you that Iran, known as Persia in biblical times, was not just another empire, but a nation specifically mentioned in prophecies that shaped the destiny of God's chosen people? The biblical origin story of Iran is more fascinating than you might imagine. From the lineage of Noah to the reign of Cyrus the Great, the history of the Iranian people is interwoven with some of the most pivotal moments in biblical history. But the truly astonishing revelation is that God used Persia, a nation of pagan kings, to free Israel, rebuild the temple, and fulfill prophecies spoken centuries before they came to pass. In this video, we will explore how the Bible reveals the origins of the Iranian people, their rise to power, and their central role in shaping both the Old Testament and prophetic visions of the future. Get ready, because what you're about to learn will change the way you view Iran, not only as a modern nation, but as a key player in God's plan for the world. To understand the biblical roots of Iran, we need to go back to the story of Noah and his descendants. After the Great Flood, Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, became the ancestors of all the nations of the earth. According to the Table of Nations in Genesis 10, one of Japheth's sons was Madai, the progenitor of the Medes. The Medes later became closely associated with the Persians, and together they formed the foundation of the Medo-Persian Empire, one of the most powerful empires in world history. The descendants of Madai, the Medes, settled in the region that would become modern Iran. The Persians, emerging from the same geographical area, would rise to prominence later, but both groups shared a common Iranian ancestry. According to the Bible, the ancestors of the Iranians are descendants of Japheth through Madai, placing the Iranian people in the biblical narrative from the very beginning of post-flood history. This connection links the Iranian people to one of the oldest genealogies in the Bible and sets the stage for their significant role in the history of God's people. Moving forward several centuries, we encounter the rise of Persia, a kingdom that would play a crucial role in the biblical narrative. The Medes and Persians formed an alliance under the leadership of Cyrus the Great, who founded the Achaemenid Empire, also known as the First Persian Empire. At the height of its power, the Persian Empire stretched from the Indus River to North Africa, encompassing many of the regions mentioned in the Bible, including Israel, Babylon, and Egypt. However, Persia's significance goes far beyond its military and territorial power. Its true importance lies in how God used it to fulfill his promises to the Israelites. The Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, had conquered Jerusalem in 586 BC, destroyed the temple, and taken the people of Judah into exile. The Israelites remained captive in Babylon for 70 years, as prophesied by Jeremiah. Then came Cyrus the Great, a Persian king who conquered Babylon in 539 BC. With him, everything changed. The book of Ezra begins with a decree from Cyrus allowing the Israelites to return to their land and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. This event is recorded in Ezra 1 verses 1-4, where Cyrus declares, "The Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth and has appointed me to build a temple for him at Jerusalem in Judah." Cyrus, a pagan king, had been named over a century earlier by the prophet Isaiah as the one who would carry out God's will to restore Israel. Isaiah 44 verse 28 and Isaiah 45 verse 1. In one of the most remarkable moments in biblical history, Persia, a nation outside God's covenant, became the instrument of divine redemption for his people. This marked a profound turning point for Israel and highlighted Persia's central role in God's divine plan. One of the most notable elements of Persia's biblical legacy is the role of Cyrus the Great. In Isaiah 44 verse 28, God refers to Cyrus by name over 150 years before his birth, calling him my shepherd who would fulfill God's purposes. In Isaiah 45 verse 1, Cyrus is even called God's anointed, a title usually reserved for kings of Israel. How could a foreign pagan king be called God's anointed? The answer lies in God's divine sovereignty and his ability to use anyone, even those outside his covenant people, to accomplish his will. Cyrus's decree allowing the Jews to return and rebuild the temple was not just a political move. It was a prophetic fulfillment. The prophet Jeremiah had foretold that the Babylonian captivity would last 70 years. Jeremiah 25 verses 11 to 12, 29:10, and Cyrus's rise to power marked the end of that period. The rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem, under the leadership of Zerubbabel and with Cyrus's blessing, was a crucial step in the restoration of Israel. God used Persia not only to defeat Babylon, the nation that oppressed Israel, but also to facilitate Israel's rebirth as a nation. This served as a reminder to Israel and the world that God's plan is much greater than any empire, and he can use even the most unlikely figures to fulfill his purposes. Persia's role in biblical history does not end with Cyrus and the rebuilding of the temple. The Book of Esther provides another powerful example of how God used Persia to protect his people. During the reign of Xerxes I, also known as Ahasuerus in the Bible, a plot was devised by Haman, an official in the Persian court, to exterminate the Jews living in the empire. However, through divine providence, a young Jewish woman named Esther had become the queen of Persia. Encouraged by her uncle Mordecai, Esther took a bold and dangerous step by approaching the king, revealing her Jewish identity and pleading for the survival of her people. Esther 4 verse 14 highlights Mordecai's famous words to Esther. "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther's intervention resulted in a dramatic reversal. King Xerxes, upon learning of Haman's treachery, ordered his execution, and a new decree was issued allowing the Jews to defend themselves against their enemies. This story, recorded in the Book of Esther, is celebrated annually during the festival of Purim as a reminder of how God used Persia, and particularly Queen Esther, to preserve the Jewish people. The story of Esther is an example of divine providence and protection. Once again, Persia, though a foreign empire, became an instrument through which God's people were protected. God's hand was evident throughout the story, using the Persian Empire as the backdrop for this miraculous deliverance of the Jews from annihilation. Persia was not merely a passive observer. It was an active participant in ensuring the survival of Israel, a nation destined to bring forth the Messiah. The Bible not only speaks about Persia's historical role, but also places Persia at the heart of prophetic visions concerning the future of world empires and God's ultimate plan for humanity. Thus, Persia's legacy in the biblical context reminds us that no matter how unlikely it may seem, any nation can be used to accomplish God's plan.